The first 10 minutes, we're going to actually talk about, we're going to welcome everybody to the call. We're going to introduce our guest, and then we're going to have a message that we're going to share. The remaining 35 minutes, we're going to go through the product demonstration on the EFI Pro 32R, and we'll have our guest speakers go through the product line. During the last 15 minutes or during the demonstration, we will at the end take Q&A, but however, during the presentation at any time, if you've got questions and you'd like to send us a question through the chat window, please don't hesitate to do that. We appreciate you joining us today, and we're very excited about the opportunity to share this with you today. So with that, I'm pleased to welcome and introduce our subject matter experts today. We've got Tiffany Bison. Tiffany is the Customer Experience Center Supervisor. She manages the overall operations for demos for wide format, super wide format in Londonderry, and we're very excited to have her with us today. We also have George Howe. He is our application specialist for inkjet and roll-to-roll printers in our Customer Experience Center in Londonderry, New Hampshire. And then our last subject matter expert is Tomer Ohavi, and he is the EFI roll-to-roll product marketing manager. Tomer is responsible for managing the go-to-market strategy, the plan, the product launch activities for the roll-to-roll portfolio, and does a great job of creating the sales, the channel education, and the marketing for our business. So I'm very excited to have our guest with us today. And with that, I'm going to go into the message. So EFI is committed to supporting our customers in good and difficult times, and I wanted to thank all the essential workers for keeping us safe. I mean, this is really critical, especially in these times. And if you have a friend or a family member that's an essential worker, thank you. We're all in this together with COVID, the coronavirus, COVID-19, and we just wanted to make sure that we share that message. We continue to hear some really motivating and exciting essential applications and printing businesses working together in several key market segments. And today I wanted to share this slide. This came from the Florida Graphics Alliance, which demonstrates the power of print is essential. You see printers are having a tremendous positive impact on the several market segments like federal, like state and local government, public health, food industries, healthcare, and communication companies. So what you're seeing here is all of the different market segments that print is impacting and how we're making a difference even with the COVID-19 epidemic or pandemic. So I wanted to share this slide. This is a very important slide for you to look at the different markets and the folks that are actually looking for help during these difficult times. And I wanted to also share, as part of this essential applications and printing, the following key applications, right, on what we can do on the 32R Plus on our roll-to-roll printer and cutter. And here's an example of the food industry, for instance, restaurants that, you know, you can see the banner on the left-hand side on the top where, you know, the kitchen is open and they're ready to deliver and pick up. And here's at Jimmy John's down on the right bottom side where Jimmy John's sandwich locations, they're also promoting, hey, pick up deliveries available in our location. So these are all examples of printed vinyl materials and banners that are produced on a Pro 32R Plus. Here's another example on the bottom left-hand side of a McDonald's restaurant that has a open for takeaway signage, you know, takeaway orders printed on a backlit light box banner material to promote that, you know what, they're still operating, they're still serving food, take it home, but you have that capability, and those are all communication vehicles that are being leveraged. The last example that I want to share with you on segments or marketing segments that are really critical and that we're impacting with essential printing and applications is the public health example on the top right column here. And if you notice, it says coronavirus, wash your hands more often for 20 minutes, right? So if you look at that, that's a communication. That's both a government and a public health communication in a bus stop, promoting the importance of making sure that during these times we're washing our hands properly. And this is printed on a dual-sided backlit light box banner material that, you know, is really, again, an essential message during these times, and we want to make sure that people are protecting themselves and staying safe. So with that, I want to make sure that we transition now to Tiffany and George, and they will show and demonstrate the essential printing, the high applications that the Pro 32R Plus roll-to-roll LED printer can really help your business grow, and especially in these difficult times. So with that, I'm going to pass the ball over to Tiffany and George.
And good morning. So thank you for taking the time to join us. To kind of pigtail onto Ricky's comments, we are all in this together, and together everybody is working to stay safe. These remote demonstrations and WebEx events have been incredibly successful and hugely beneficial for everybody, so thank you for taking the time. George, as Ricky mentioned, is the application specialist. Is going to be taking you through some of the moving parts of the 32R, how it works, why it works, and talk about a little bit of the setup that we have right now. So we are running 3-meter banner vinyl.
14-ounce typical banner you would absolutely run on this.
And you can see that the media, of course, is full width, but George also has engaged the slitting option. So you do have an option for inline slitting. You can attach at any point. You can see the printer has paused. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit so you can see how quick and easy it is to set up.
So if you can see the screen, you'll see a little prompt that says, do you want to set the slitters? This is actually built into our software. So if you want to do an inside bleed or an outside to make it a little portrait, the software is going to do it for you. It's actually going to print lines. You're going to line these slitters right up to the line. They simply just fall in like that. Drag your blade down, pop it through. You're ready to go, and it continues on. So the software is really good about let you do the things easier as opposed to manually doing it.
So you can see there the line that George has aligned the slitters up to. So the big takeaway here, you're going to hear us talk about media savings pretty frequently. And what you're going to see is that there's no wasted print when you're setting up your slitters. So there's no, make ready, if you will. You can adjust the length of those marks as well.
Yes.
So you're very minimal amount of waste again in that setup. Now while this is printing, some other things that we want to point out again is the Cool Cure LED technology. The lamps, as you can see as the carriage is traveling, are instant on, instant off, and independent of each other. So they are rated for upwards of 10,000 working hours. So you can see they're only on for a fraction of a second every time the carriage is traveling. So 10,000 hours on those lamps is really quite successful.
And those are 8-watt Phozions, so it's a pretty low power. A lot of savings compared to arc printing.
Yep.
Back in the Stone Ages, I call it.
And George, what mode is this?
This is indoor.
Okay.
It's middle of the road. I mean, if you want to walk up on it, it's good. I mean, I believe every mode has its own use, its own flavor. I mean, this type of print I would probably do faster production. We have outdoor modes. There's a myriad of modes on this printer that just let you adapt to a certain file, certain material.
So some of the applications that Ricky talked about in his presentation, where it would be an interior, something that you'll be up close and personal with at the grocery, or the floor art that everybody is seeing in the stores now to keep that 6-foot distance. That type of application you would be running in a bit of a higher quality mode because it will be you know, more up close and personal. So this print mode here on the indoor is what speed, George?
It's approximately, oh my god, I gotta get my chart real quick. Oh, the myriad of printers. So we're at about 990. We're almost at 1,000. Everyone loves that 1,000 number.
Yeah, and so, you know, a big benefit, key takeaway for the Pro 32R and its position in the market is that at 1,000, again, to George's point, 1,200 plus square feet per hour, it's very, very fast. So competitively, you're going to get a lot of production. So this, even though it's in our entry-level wide format segment, it is still a production unit. There's a lot of available options that, you know, if you do have a good amount of volume already, you can quickly and easily transition over to this press because we do have those higher speed modes. We also have some other features for motorized unwinders and rewinders.
Dual shafts. This is a very nice option that we've finally come out with. It's more capacity, more control. You can get bigger rolls, tighter rolls.
Better material handling.
Yeah, material handling is much easier for one person.
Yep.
I mean, you can do, it's 1.6 meter shafts, front or rear.
Yep.
You can tailor it how you want. You can have it in just the front or just the back or both. And also on top of that, we do have a 3.2 meter Super Duty unwinder now that does about 1,750 pounds.
Yeah. So again, even though it is in our entry level sort of portfolio for EFI, those folks that have you know, really good volume already, or want to be running you know, larger master rolls and then slitting down to the smaller rolls, to George's point, you could be set up with a Super Duty in feed, so you have your large master roll being managed by the Super Duty, and then your take up in the front could be that split shaft, and you're slitting those larger rolls down into individual rolls. Again, all in line, very, very seamless.
And also with the dual shafts, you can add different size rolls on the back to start off with.
Different outer diameters,
so you can maximize
right?
your media even more.
Yep.
And that correlates along with our media savings wizard. When you load those two rolls, you can input how much is on each roll, and it's going to keep track of everything you do. Whether you move it forward, go backwards, feed some media back, it's going to keep track of everything you do. Absolutely everything. A jet test, whatever you run. Then at the end, you're just going to, there's a button in the software, you'll hit it, it's going to print out exactly what's left on that roll.
So
what material it was, what printer setting you were in.
Yep. And it'll print it at the end of the roll, right?
At the very end of your print, you can
off.
be, okay, I'm done with this material, hit it, it's going to print it right on this platen right here.
That's perfect. So when you now take that roll off and you put it back on the shelf, the next time you go to access that roll, you know how much print you have for your job. You'll know exactly how much print you can get off of that roll. So now you're not, you know, storing up several, you know, butt rolls or smaller rolls. You know exactly what's on them, and you can use them appropriately. And to George's point, it keeps track of forward movement as well as reverse movement. So, and then when it prints that number on there for you, you know that it's incredibly accurate.
There's customers out there that they truly use that feature. They maximize every print. They don't like getting halfway through a print and being
right.
That, sorry, I'm out, but this keeps you from doing that. I mean, you're wasting very, very little on this printer if you choose to use the features.
And also in terms of limited amount of waste, you can see we're not attached to the take-up bar here in the front. We are free-falling. So a benefit there is that you have very limited material waste in make-ready. So once you get the material over the platen and into that pinch roller, you can start printing immediately. You don't have to be attached to the take-up for that tension. So you'll save, you know, probably 3 feet of material or so every time you load roll work on this platform. Again, short run, you know, if you do accept onesie-twosie jobs in your shop, then it will allow you to really minimize how much waste you have there. And going from the platen where you can start your print to the nip is about 18 inches?
About 22 on this.
22? All right, so 22 inches. So again, very minimal amount of waste over here. And that holds true for the tail as well.
You can run this right up to the back pinch roller.
Right,
there's actually media sensors back there that when they get triggered, you'll get a prompt on the screen saying, hey, you're about to run out of media. Do you really want to keep on going? Mm-hmm. So these machines try to help you out from
Give you some
having a
fail-safe.
disaster, we'll call it. So while we get on some features, crash bar sensors.
Yep.
So if you, and it stops pretty much dead. And the act of getting this printer going after that sensor is triggered, you're going to raise your carriage, clear whatever mess you got going on, send the carriage home.
So it's not a complete restart of anything.
You're not restarting this
correct?
machine whatsoever. You're
Excellent.
just sending it home, clearing your mess, straightening it out, starting back up again.
And what about wrinkle analytics? Is there anything available for this?
As we're running now, it's on. You can set it for how sensitive you want it. Some people go to extremes, usually I do. I don't like to wreck anything.
So what that's going to do is you can put in a tolerance for a wrinkle depth variance. So you can put it in for, you know, what do you usually run out?
Typically about 0.5 millimeter.
0.5 mil. So you can put in 0.5 mil if, as the carriage is traveling, that wrinkle analyzer senses anything outside of that tolerance. It gives you some options, right?
Yes, in this version of software, the newest software, now it gives you the option. You can ignore it once, or you can ignore it entirely, but if you ignore it entirely, it will not trigger again. It phases it right out. If you ignore it once, it's going to continue on, it's going to keep on scanning.
So the benefit there would be if you have a particularly problematic material, you know that it's going to cause a wrinkle out of spec, you can just say, go ahead and ignore it, but you do want that, that warning for other materials. You don't have to continue to waste time resetting that trigger. Another major benefit is, you know, if you're doing a really long production run and a wrinkle shows up at the end, you can go ahead and ignore it, get through the rest of that print, and you don't have to waste any sort of production as well.
So yet another feature of this carriage. If you do notice a wrinkle, it does give you the option to raise the carriage and then adjust your bidirectional for you. Your left, right, we call it
Bidirectional, yep.
So it gives you that option, and so you're not losing quality on that as well.
So again, if at the end of your print you do decide to, it does trigger a wrinkle, you can raise your carriage gap to get through the rest of that print, and the software will adjust the bidirectional so that you don't have any loss of, or degradation in print quality at the end of that print. So another really great feature.
So also with this printer, you can pause at any time you like. If you notice a jet out in one color, you can pause, do a purge, wipe, move on. Also, if you notice your media is being kind of
I'm going to zoom in on
very funny, this is a new option that we have now, a little media guide. So if you have some materials that have a, we call it a waffly edge, we all run into it, you can use one of these. They go on very simply. This just hooks onto the back, and that just clips on right there.
And what that's going to do is it's going to allow the carriage to travel over that material that's holding the edges down, material edge guides. They will snap onto the platen and hold down any sort of frayed edges, you know, especially, you know, scrim banners. We know that the edges of those materials have those fine fibers, the little furs sticking out. It will help with that, which of course is going to help with jet sustainability and continued quality throughout your longer production runs.
It absolutely does help with that. I can definitely attest to that. So that's how easy these go on. So like I said, you can pause, you can do anything you want, and you can go right back to it.
Now, another major benefit to the EFI Pro 32R Plus is that all of your software, your pre-press RIP, and all of the print control utilities are embedded onto the printer. So you don't have to go back to pre-press if pre-press is in a different location of your facility. Fiery XF is embedded on the printer, and you have all kinds of new features in the print control utility software, correct?
Yes. Now, actually, I'm going to move into as far as like when you rip jobs. Also on this printer now, you can change print modes at the printer and not have to re-rip to a different mode. Now, if you find production doesn't work for you, you want to go up in the quality a little bit, you can just change that job over to POP.
Right, at the printer, you don't have to re-rip anything.
You're just going to stop the job, just
change over
and go about your way.
Excellent.
And the color shift is not really there. It's very consistent.
It's consistent.
So that's a very good benefit with this software now.
Yep.
You couldn't do that before, so now you can.
Also included and embedded is all of the color management and the color profiling suites. So all of your color management and any sort of custom profiles or anything that you want to do is all included over here as well.
So if they can go to the screen, I can go a couple features. So as you can see, it's moved on. This job is done. It goes down to a little green area down here. So that knows you're done. If you ever have a stop, it goes to this red area, but you can always bring jobs back. You can either drag them up in there, or you can just hit waiting. There's different ways you can do it. And here's where I talked about where you can change carriage speed, bidirectional, indoor. This is where you can change your print modes. You can see me scrolling up and down on that. So there's definitely features. And also when you're importing jobs, there's grouping. So you can name the group of jobs you want to do. It's multi-jobs. You can also do nestings. Nesting is one of the newer options that we just put in. It works fantastic. We've been asked for this for a little while. So that's the one I just ran. I don't really need this, so I can cancel it. So on this one, the multi-jobs group, this is actually a nesting. So I can actually bring all these jobs in, which I will actually do right now.
And that's as opposed to having, again, to go back to Fiery XF and re-rip nested jobs at the Fiery level, which again is going to be, larger file transfer. It allows your operator a little bit more fluidity to adjust the production flow and which jobs are being worked with, similar jobs that can be paired by, better prepared by material or output mode. It allows you to do that again pretty quickly, seamlessly as the operator, not having to go back to pre-press.
So as you can see, I've just...
Hey, Tiffany, we've got a couple of comments from the chat window. First, George, if you can speak to your mic, we're getting a little bit of be sensitive to your mic audio. Or speak up a little louder. That was one of the comments. The other is, excuse me, is there a limit on how many slitters can you add on the 32R? That was one of the questions. And then there was another follow-up question. How much liters do you need to load a roll of media? Those were the two questions that we've seen so far.
Approximately 5 feet to load media. Can you hear that clearly? I hope.
So that...
I'm a little soft-spoken at times, so...
That 5 feet would be the...
Coming from the back, hitting this pinch roller, and you're starting.
So that total liter is that 5 feet. Again, wasted print material off the front is that 22 inches that George previously mentioned.
And I'm being considerate of that. The more you do it, the better you get. So
right.
I'm going to say 4 to 5 feet.
And then the other question was around the slitters. How many slitters?
You can get as many as you want. Obviously, you're limited to the
width of
the slitter itself. I mean, it's not unusual to have multiples.
Yeah, we have one customer. I forget where he's located, but he runs full width, and then he slits down into, believe it or not, 7 individual smaller rolls for his particular application. It's printing on the material for ice packs for children's hospitals. So he prints like superhero logos directly to the outer ice pack material. So he starts again with a full width roll, and then he slits it down into 7 individual rolls. So you're really only limited by the width of the slitter itself.
So also on the slitters now, you can actually put a second blade in.
So it can be a double, yep.
Yeah, it can be a double blade. It's 8 millimeters, so if you just need to take a little notch out of your medias, you can do that just as easily. It saves you from buying another slitter separately if you needed to do it.
So truly print and cut on a number of different applications, right, George?
I mean, slitting the edges, it saves you a step in the end.
Yep. And then we also have seamless integration with several third-party cutters. So at the Fiery level, if you are taking these rolls off and sending them off to a cutter, at the Fiery level, Fiery will apply the cut marks that your cutter will be looking for, both square ups as well as contour cuts. It'll apply those optical camera marks. It'll apply whatever barcoding system is available on your cutter. The Zunda, the Esco, Sumo, whatever the case may be. Fiery can seamlessly integrate those marks and send over the cut file that your cutter is looking for. Again, trying to offer a bit of a complete solution as opposed to just the printer. We have the software, and then also that integration goes to the finishing as well. So in line, you're able to finish with the slitting, so you can get down to your finished with rolls. And then there's a clear coat option also available over here as well.
You can have either clear or white. You get a choice.
So the clear, it is a bit of more of a matte finish on this one. Yep.
It's I believe it's a little bit more protective than.
Yeah, it's more of a. So we do have clear on a few of our other product lines, but it's strictly aesthetic. On this unit, it is it does increase the durability of the inks and protects the inks as opposed to just being strictly aesthetic. So that's a great option as well. Do you want to go ahead and do a changeover? I believe in the back we have some wallpaper loaded up and ready to go.
So I was going to show them nesting real quick.
Okay, sure.
Which tied into the whole Zun cutter. A lot of the nesting features came from people that wanted to take a 3-meter banner because they don't do full width sometimes. They wanted to nest a bunch of jobs on that one roll, and now you can do that. Because it's going to put cut marks on all the jobs you do within. So if you look at the screen that I got popped up, I'm going to grab these 5 jobs. I'm going to select them all for that grouping. And then it'll put them all in there. So you can actually move them around any way you want. There's also an auto arrange you can do that maximizes the media for you. So one feature that people ask for, we have now. So now I will do what Tiffany asked me to do. I will do a changeover.
So again, as George is going through these motions, keep in mind, ease of use. How quick and easy is it for a single operator to be able to change over different roles? And again, we don't currently on our printer, unfortunately, have the split shaft on currently. So what you see in the back is we have a additional roll handling unit where we have 2 rolls of, again, wallpaper loaded up that will just switch out that bar in the back and be able to print direct to the wallpaper. Another available option is a foot pedal in the back here. What you're going to see is George is going to load this bar and have the 2 rolls up. He's going to get them into the pinch roller, but engaging the print roller previously, you have to hold down a button that's off to the left-hand side of the press. It became a little bit cumbersome for some of our end users, some of our customers. The feedback was that it's challenging. So we introduced a foot pedal that now, as you're loading those materials, you can engage your nip roller utilizing a pedal. Again, making it a bit easier and a little bit more seamless.
Hey, Tiffany, we've got a couple of questions while George is setting that up. What is the footprint of the 32R R Plus? And what are the top prospects that, or market segments that you're seeing the 32R Plus play in?
Great questions. I do not have the footprint right now. If you want, what we can do is we can send out follow-up emails with the data sheet that will give you the total footprint as well as the working space needed. And as far as which market segments, as some of the people online I've worked with in the past, they know the short answer is yes, right? So I talked about one customer whose application is printing on ice packs for children's hospitals. So that's a really fun, unique application. But we also have several customers who are doing wallpaper and flooring materials. Interior architectural applications are just absolutely soaring in the industry right now. I'm sure, again, everybody on the line knows that. So to my earlier point, the wallpaper that we're about to run runs like a dream over here. And again, with all of that larger production material handling capability, with the Super Duty and with the motorized, you can do real long, true production runs of that wallpaper application. We also have people who are running on different flooring materials. Again, when you're going to the stores now, you have the 6-foot rule. All of those graphics can be printed directly utilizing the 32R. And then your standard sign shops, right? The people who are just going to be doing banner vinyl are going to be doing, building wraps. Our ink set is 3M MCS warranted, so we do have 2 different types of ink available here. We have the Super Range and the Super Flex, both of which 3M has warranted for vehicle wraps, for fleet graphics, for bus sides, truck sides. So very, very wide a range of applications. A really big benefit with investing with EFI and our EFI channel partners is that we don't just design, manufacture, and engineer the hardware and say good luck to you with your printing, good luck with your finishing. You know, we own the software and the ink as well. So our software is going to be best designed to drive the printer the best. And then again, because we're developing our own inks and our co-branding with 3M, we know that we have a really great complete solution, not just a really great print solution. Are there any questions in the Q&A, Ricky?
Hey Tiffany, I'm gonna answer the space on or the printer specifications. It is uncrated, height 75, front and back depth is 53, and width front or left and right is 232. So that's the uncrated
inches, right?
Description.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. And then let me just take a look and see if there are any other questions. The power requirements. What are the power requirements on the 32R? That was one question.
So that would be in that same document with the size specifications.
Yeah, so I will look for the power requirements in just 1 second. It's a input voltage of 230 one phase, and then 25 amp is what it's indicating here. It's got a line input frequency of 50 to 60 megahertz, power consumption 1.8 kilowatts, and then required voltage. That's what it's mentioning inside of the power requirement.
Thank you, Ricky.
You're welcome. And then let's see if we've got any other questions. Did the cut horizontally?
So we do slitting.
No,
so
not on horizontal.
No, there is no horizontal cutting over here. So it's just the slitting. So it'll just be in the process direction, and then the horizontal cutting will have to be done offline on this printer. I also see a question in regard to if it's a new program for the operation of the machine. It's the same software, new bells and whistles. So it'll be an upgrade or a reinstall of the software visually. Again, it'll look very similar to if you have a 32R and you're upgrading to a Plus. Visually, it will look the same. Again, you'll just have those other options and added features built in. So you guys can see real quick, very limited amount of waste. You can see he just has a small tail on either of those, on those both front rolls coming off the front. So very minimal amount of waste. And again, one-man operation. Unfortunately, I forgot to switch the camera over to the back, but you'll have to trust me, one-man operation to get the rolls loaded in. So this is a silver, reflective silver wallpaper material. It is textured. And again, running 2 rolls up. And you do have the availability and the ability to run 2 rolls up, and then every image on both of those rolls being independent. So you can run multiple jobs up across the web, as well as multiple jobs in the process direction. So you have complete availability and capability to, again, run those longer production runs without a lot of downtime, without a lot of manual changing of materials or anything like that.
There's also another question on what is the MSRP for the 32R Plus, and that is $199,000, $199,000. That does not include white, so you do have to add white if that is an option that you want. And there are other options that you can get on this product as well. And then there's another question: what version of Fire EXF does it ship with today?
So it will ship with the latest version of Command Workstation.
When the printer gets set up, it will get set up with 7.1.4.
What was that, George, again? 7. What?
7.1.4.
Yep.
Okay.
That's the latest right now. So when it gets set up, you're going to go on the online updater and you're going to get all the newest profiles, latest version of software.
But the value there is it does also provide Command Workstation capabilities, so you can actually use this printer and, for instance, an OEM production cut sheet printer and manage each different type of jobs from a cut sheet production and a wide format product with Command Workstation from EFI.
Correct. So while George is getting the rolls loaded, I'll just take a quick minute and talk about some of the other options available with end-to-end integration. This printer is enabled and works with the EFI IQ. It is a cloud-based product that allows remote monitoring and remote alerts to different status changes of the printer, as well as full recognition of all production, ink usage, material usage, different statuses of the printer throughout the day. So if, as the production manager, the shop owner, you're running multiple shifts, you can get alerts to your cell phone, to an iPhone or an Android platform, as well as tablets, on the changing statuses of the printer. So you can set it up so that you're getting alerts, if the printer goes in sleep mode, if jobs are being started, if it goes into error mode. And then you can also have it, to Ricky's point, keeping track of all of the printing equipment on your floor. It'll give you, again, total ink consumption, exactly how much material is being processed, what sort of states the printer, the varying states that the printer is in throughout the day or throughout the shift. You can have it reporting across different operators, different specific hours. All of that, again, completely seamlessly integrated with the printer.
Hey, Tiffany, or George, there's another question on the inks that are available on the 32R Plus.
Yeah, so we have the Super Range and the Super Flex. Again, depending on what your end application is, depending on MCS warranties or needs, again, for your fleet graphics, your truck sides. So something that you can look into with your, with your customers, what their needs are, and then work with your EFI or your channel sales partners to make sure that you're getting the right ink set.
And the color options are CMYK and 2 channels of white. Is that correct? As an option, the white.
As an option, the white, or as an option, clear. So you can.
Or clear.
You can run
so clear and white. Okay.
Yep. It's clear or white.
Clear or white.
It's either or on a 32R Plus. Right. The only one you can get both on is a D3 or D5.
And also another question around the print heads. What print heads are we using on the 32R Plus?
Ricoh Gen 5s.
Yep, so they are the Ricoh Gen 5, and they are a 7 picoliter, what we call ultra drop technology. So we have a variable drop mode. So we have the ability to run several different picoliter sizes. So at any given point, you can be running a 7, 14, and 21 size, picoliter size. So what that translates to is the best amount of ink mileage, as well as really improved print quality. So when you're talking about flesh tones, skin tones, gradations, things of that nature, being able to use that variable drop, you're going to get really smooth transitions, because we have different drop sizes that we can backfill throughout that transition. And a really key takeaway for that as well is that we have that variable drop available for white. So a lot of people that are offering white ink are having to use a larger binary or fixed drop size. in order to get the appropriate opacities and the appropriate coverage of white. Over here, if you're printing with white ink, you're going to still have access to that variable drop. So what that means is that you have no print quality degradation. There is no change or sacrifice to print quality if you're printing only with white. So if you are printing something like this only with white, you still have really great high definition, really great quality, no sacrifice there, because we do still utilize that, that variable drop size.
So there's another question. Can you change out between white and clear? If so, what is the process and time frame to make the change? That's one.
So it's not something that we would recommend going back and forth. As you can imagine, the opacity of the white and the way that the white is developed to be incredibly opaque, it's incredibly difficult to completely clean out of the lines to fill it with the clear without making your clear milky. So the suggestion is on purchase, sign up for whatever it is that you think you're going to want long term. It's not going to be something where you're going to switch back and forth, you know, a couple of times a week. If you do purchase with white and then you find that you need clear, they can change you over. It takes the better part of a day, but again, it's one of those things that you're not going to go back and forth because it's complete line change outs, and you know, it's not a quick, easy thing. So the suggestion is to purchase it the way that you're going to want it. If you find, you know, after a year or so of running that you don't need the white so much anymore and you do need that clear, you can change over, but it's strongly suggested that you try and sign on with the way that you want it to be.
Yeah, typically we'll kind of weed that out in the process.
Yeah.
Of what you're going to absolutely need more.
So in the sample and demo process, of course we'll be able to show you both, and then you can make an educated decision on what it is that you're looking for.
So now, Tiffany and George, we're seeing a printed sample, something related to obviously COVID and maybe public health that we just described.
Yep.
Is there a like a mesh application on this device?
Oh, absolutely. There's actually a built-in mesh kit.
Yes.
It's super easy to do with literally one push of a button.
So he's got a series of buttons over here on the front of the printer.
Believe it or not, I'll actually pause the printer and
Okay.
I'll hit the button.
So I'm going to go ahead and grab the camera.
And there's another question also on, can you describe the maintenance procedure on this printer? And, you know, how easy is the maintenance procedure on it?
I mean,
George?
daily maintenance, I mean, I'm a very big proponent for maintenance. Your printer is always better in the end. I'm going to say about 15 minutes to a half hour a day, depending how quick a person is, how you get better at it as you go. You're going to clean this platen off every day. You're going to clean your jet plate off every day. You're going to clean your lamps off every day. It's all stuff that's typical. It's not hard, it's quick, it's easy. Believe it or not, the software is actually going to give you a prompt of what to do. You can actually set what time you want it to pop up. It will give you a reminder to do that stuff. So it keeps you going.
Okay.
You know, to me, that sacrifice of 15 minutes to a half hour is worth hours on the long end.
And your startup and your shutdown at the end of the day will be, to George's point, quick and very easy to do, again, because utilizing the LED, we don't have any warm-up time or cool-down time. You're not worrying about the additional hardware of shrouds or shutters opening and closing all the time, picking up dust and debris. You come in the morning, you're going to do a quick hand wipe like you can see George doing now. Maybe you can see George doing now.
Yeah, this is a quick purge. I mean, it's manual, but it's very effective. You don't do it very often.
So you just do a quick purge, and then you'll hand wipe the excess ink off of those print heads.
Yep, and also everything's about ease of use in this thing too. So if you happen to get something going on with an air in your line, which I haven't seen, you can just simply pop this cover off. All your bleeder valves are right there.
And again, you have a visual inspection of your lamp filters, you have a visual inspection of your static ionization bars, visual inspection of all of your optics under the carriage, and you know, the message is visual inspection every day, clean as needed. And as you can see, it's very quick, very easy. And then once you have got everything exactly how you want it, you can pick up that print right where you left off.
Yep.
And from that pause position, you can you can, as George mentions, do a purge, do a clean, do a wipe, and then pick up right where you leave off.
Now, I will say I have purged a job for a very long time. I mean, the purge, the pause is meant for just a, for doing something really quick. I mean, I've left the printer on pause for a couple hours before. I mean, it'll just sit there, but then you end up with a band if it sits too long. But it's very easy to do.
And there's another question, Tiffany, around are there any special light modes for the white option?
Define special light bulbs or
modes. Yep. So we have, a white only mode, which will allow you to get good white coverage without a sacrifice to your print speed. There's white over, there's white under, and then George, do you want to talk them through the 5-layer application?
So you have color white, black, white, color. You can do a true blockout print. You can have something completely different. You cannot see through it. With this printer, you can go from a billboard to a 5-layer blockout print that just comes out fantastic. There's also color white, color. You can do a day-night backlit really, really easily. I mean, it's easy. You can just switch print modes over here. So if you want to do something like that.
There's no hardware changeovers or anything like that. To George's point, you're going to change the mode over at the printer. And then you'll build your layers out at the printer.
There's a couple caveats in there. Like 5-layer is on its own.
Yep.
I mean, if you want a 5-layer job, you're going to rip it as a 5-layer. You're going to set up as a 5-layer. Yep. But there again, in this software, you're not defining those layers. You're ripping it that way. When it gets into the printer, it's going to put it on the appropriate layer.
Right. So as an operator, you're not having to do a lot of.
You're going to define which image is first. So it's the software automatically goes. You're going first. You're going last.
And just to reiterate, that is 5 layers in a single time through the printer. So you have up to 5 layers, and it can be color 1, and then a flood of white, your black blockout layer, and then another flood of white, and then your second CMYK. So as an application, retail application would be as you're walking into the store, it's welcome. As you're leaving the store, it's thank you for coming. So you can have different images, and then we also have a dual day-night application as well as a 3-layer.
Yep. Color 1, white, color 2.
Yep. So you can do hidden images. You can have it so that during the day, it looks one way, and at night you're showing a different image. So you can have it be, Joe's Crab Shack during the day, and then at night when you light it up, it's going to showcase, happy hour from whatever time to whatever. So again, you can do all of that right here at the printer.
So also as you're printing, color white colors, white overs, white unders, this feature right here lets you do it all in line. No light box necessary. You can do it all while you're printing. So you've got a little band up here you can watch, and there's also one down here you can actually look through. So that saves you time. You're not relying upon a light box. You can just do it as you go.
Yep, save on any wastage. Yep.
Creature features, we'll call them, that just works out so well.
Hey George, how about can you talk a little bit more about the spot clear and what how that works and the appearance of the clear?
So the spot clear, like I said, it's more protective. It's a matte / I'll call it satin, depending on what material you're putting it on. And you can do spot, you can do what we call a flood coat over it. It's more. I found it depends on what material, how it lays down, but it's more or less a matte.
What applications have you seen the clear being used for?
I've seen some wallpapers where they just want a little extra protective, a little scuff resistance, a little bit more.
Okay, that's good.
I mean, I'm sure there's got to be a couple banners. It probably gives you a little bit more life in a banner.
Okay, George, and does the printer have a option for a jumbo roll?
Yes, that would be the Super Duty.
Okay.
The Super Duty. Like I said, the dual shafts, motorized winders, unwinders, they give you greater capacity. There is a bigger weight limit. On the back right now, that 1 3-meter bar is 498 pounds. The max. That's for that whole bar. Each separate bar, 1.6 meter, is greater. I don't have the exact figure. I believe it's around 800 pounds for the motorized winder and winders.
So that's, Ricky, where we were saying you really have an increased availability for true production over here. While it's considered to be in our entry-level portfolio, we do have several different options available that will allow for full true production in the form of those, the motorized and the Super Duty availability, and again, those print speeds that we have available as well.
Yeah, we're turning it into a more robust printer from where we started with the 32R, as opposed to the Plus, and now we're getting into, like Ted said, the foot pedal, the Super Duty unwinder or rewinder. I mean, the white modes, the clear, for a little bit more protection, or even a different look on something.
Here's another question. Does the machine read the material automatically?
On this material, it won't, because it was a silver, it was more chrome, but yes, you can actually scan multiple rolls in. The software will handle up to scanning 6 different rolls. So yes, it will scan.
It'll locate.
It'll find it.
Yeah, it'll locate the right edge as well as how wide the substrate is, and then from there, it will prompt. The software will prompt if you're going to be printing something that will not fit on the size of the rolls that have been scanned.
And I do believe we're very close to getting it to scan clear materials.
Hey Tiffany, can you put the camera on the different options that the 32R Plus offers? I think you have that there on the machine. Just do a close-up, so our audience can actually see not only what the different options are, but also some of the data sheets that we have available, so they can see that would be, I think, of benefit. And then there's another question on how thick of materials can you slit?
Yeah.
So that's
that varies. I mean, there's some materials that are very tough, and there's some that just cut like butter. I mean, I've slit 22-ounce truck banner on this thing, and it doesn't mind it. We've also done, oh my goodness.
So I mean, the control there isn't the thickness; it's the density, right? So
yeah,
the rigidity of it.
I've run flooring through this thing. We're not going to slick flooring. Like, I've had 8-inch built flooring go through this thing. You know, there's certain limits. I mean, it's cut some stuff that it varies. I mean, I can't give a definite answer of this is going to cut this weight. But as far as the typical cast of characters like wallpapers, banners, it cuts it. Paper, absolutely. I would slit a certain, I believe, 18-point cardstock.
So,
yeah, so how about styrene? How about styrene, George?
Styrene, yes.
Yep, styrene's fine.
Absolutely styrene. I believe it or not, these cut it like butter.
Yeah.
It's very smooth.
Okay, good.
I think, best case scenario would be that you would utilize the team here. If there is, to George's point, a cast of characters that you're hoping to be able to process on the 32R, then what we would ask is that, utilize our sample and demo team, supply us the material that you're hoping to use in production, and let us, do that trial and error for you, and share with you best practices specific to that material.
Yeah, and that's really a key message, right? We have not only the demonstration facility there in Londonderry, but also we do samples and customized samples for you to test your different customer applications and make sure that it meets their needs.
Yep.
So I think we're almost at the hour. We've got about 3 minutes. I don't know if there are any other questions. I don't see any more, but I have one question, George or Tiffany. Are you guys taking those samples and putting them up on your houses, the COVID ones?
I'm going to say maybe the Stay Safe one. I can grommet it real quick and
get that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, I got to tell you, it's good to share with the kids so they all know, hey, listen, make sure you're washing your hands, that we're protecting ourselves and staying safe. And going back to the key message, that we've got, we're all in this together at this point. We've got great technology, we've got great people, we've got great customers, partners, and sales, and we're, again, all in this together. Please stay safe. I'm going to open it up and see if there's any other questions, or if there are no other questions or comments. Let me see if there's one question. Are you set up to conduct virtual demos similar to yes, we definitely are. We can do virtual demos.
Yep, we are open for business. So if you guys have any any customers or any end users that need to demo any of the equipment in the portfolio, we have full remote demo capabilities in all of our centers of excellence. So right now we have this exact same capability in our Brussels demo center, our Israel demo center in Italy. So we are open for business. Utilize us. If you have anything that you need tested or any samples that you need done, we can certainly complete those for you.
Yeah, and that was the other question. Can you test any type of material that will run on this machine? So,
you would not
yes.
believe some of the stuff that George and I have been asked to print on. Yes.
I've seen.
We've seen it all.
Send it. I'll try it.
Yeah.
I have no.
Very good. Well, listen. In closing, I want to first thank our audience for attending the webinar. I want to thank Tiffany and George and Tomer and Israel and everybody that's on the Wide Format Wednesdays. These are educational webinars. We want you to learn about our technology and some of the segments that we're impacting in not only today with COVID-19, but tomorrow when we recover. And then the last thing that I want to just leave you with is, please, this is being recorded. I will be sharing the replay of this video. I also encourage you to please share with your colleagues, with your customers, our next webinar. The next webinar we're having on Wide Format Wednesday educational webinar will be on May 13th, and that'll be with a fireside chat with customers talking about the EFI Pro 16H. And so we're excited to be bringing that product next month and sharing some of the things that we can do with that product as well. So again, thank you very much, and make it a great day, and please stay safe. Thank you again.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a great day.